Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GITGUDRacing.com, where I'm offering the most accessible coaching sessions on the market.
Now for the track guide. For turn 1, what I'm looking at for braking is this banner on the left side. I just want to use all the track since, as you can see here on the left side of the white line, there's a bit of space. You can put your tires to this space, your left tires, and then I'm looking at these banners on the left. As soon as I stop seeing them, I'm applying the brakes, and I want to take a late apex here since if you're gonna apex at the beginning of the red curb, we're gonna run out of track on the exit. So the earlier you're gonna apex, the wider your exit. So since we don't have a lot of space on the exit, and usually if you did some laps, you struggle to use just the available track and not pick an off track, you will have to apex later. So it's braking and downshifting while going into the corner for some extra rotation, because we want to generate as much as rotation as we can while going into the corner so that we can apex later. So trying to rotate the car as much as possible, and what I'm apexing is this point right here. You can use different references. I mostly do it by feel, but in your mind it should be closer to the end of the curb than the beginning of the curb. You can also use the horizon line, so I'm apexing after the first banner with Drive the Dream. So you can use the halo as a reference, but it will be the most consistent if you just in your mind apex later and rotate with under braking with the downshift. Now you can use all this track and it's not gonna be an off track. I found like the off track limit is quite difficult to say, but what I found is that if you have the antenna at the edge of the curb, like I have it right now at the exact edge of the white and red curb, it won't be an off track. For the next corner, you just want to position as close as you can to the right side to open up. So avoid hitting the curb, avoid hitting this curb right here, because this will bounce your car more to the inside. So just going around him and then aligning with the white line. And as a reference for braking, I use this dip in the track goes like this, and the moment that I feel the suspension loaded, then I'm braking, and at the same time I'm turning. And a bit later into the corner I'm doing the downshift, since it's the same principle as before. You just want to rotate late, or you want to rotate early, sorry, so that you just apex as late as you can. So again, just a bit of brake and then back on throttle. There's a lot of grip in this compression zone, so you must be earlier on throttle, earlier than meeting the curb. You should be on throttle, then using all this curb, so the left tire almost to the grass to make the car rotate, and then it's just flat out. The next corner though, with a fixed setup, it's not so easy because you can't take it flat without compromising. You will always have to compromise just a bit, but I found like the best compromise is to avoid this curb completely and just apex at the white line. Same thing, if you're gonna hit the curb, it will bounce the car more to the right side, and also in this corner the issue is that you end up more on the right side. So you really have to force yourself to take an apex in which you won't be pulled to the right side, because at the braking ideally you want to be as close as you can to the white line. And I'm using this tires on the left side as a reference for braking. As soon as I don't see them, I'm applying the brakes, which is a bit late. I think you should brake just a moment earlier than what I did here, because what happens is that I lock up my right inside tire here, and for sure I lose some time because of that. The tire will regain its grip, since right now we have a compression zone. So the moment that the suspension feels the compression, the tire gets more grip, and I'm also able to go back on throttle. However, you should avoid the lockup. I didn't play with the brake bias, so I used the default brake bias of the fixed setup, nothing changed. I think you can fix this with 2 or 3 clicks to the rears. You might be able to keep the same braking point like I did here without the tire locking up. But nice and early on the throttle, using all this exit, and now for the next chicane, I use as a reference for braking the moment that this white line becomes straight, because right now we're going around it, but the moment that the white line is now more straight than it was before, it's almost a straight line, I'm applying the brakes and I brake. I try to go as close as I can to this black box. However, I kind of miss it. It wasn't a perfect lap by all means. So ideally you want to cut a bit more than what I did here. It wasn't terrible, but you should cut just a bit more. Same here, you want to be as close as you can and then be earlier on throttle. This is a big straight, so you must force yourself to be as early as you can on throttle while doing laps. This is what I try here, and I have a slight moment. But the car will generally take it. If you don't go too hot in, the car will generally take it. For the next corner, I'm looking at the 50, but I'm not braking at the 50. I'm braking somewhere in the middle of 150. I'm applying the brakes and I brake quite hard. I'm picking almost 100, so 92 right now. And then going as close as I can to this black tires box. And then a bit of throttle in between. Again, as close as you can to the next box. And ideally, you don't want to be on the right side here. You want to be in the middle of the track, so you will have time to reposition to the left. Go as close as you can to the white line. However, if you're too far on the right side, you won't have time to go to the white line and then to turn. So if you will try to align yourself perfectly, you will miss the turning point. So it's more important to have the right turning point into this corner rather than open up, because you can miss it and then it's again a big straight. It won't be worth it. Just a small lift and a small bit of brakes, and then you can use all these things. So to the left of the white and red sausage curb, you can use that part without an off track. Now for the next corner, the double apexes, it's a bit difficult to find a consistent braking point. However, what I'm using is this change of tarmac, like it's right here. I'm not braking at the change of tarmac, but I'm looking at it. So you will have to possibly just approximate the distance. This is what I'm doing right now. So I'm looking at the change of tarmac. I'm also looking at this white line. So I'm aligning with this white line and I'm noticing that it becomes more straight around this point. So whenever this happens, that I'm this close to the change of tarmac and the white line seems a bit more straight to me than it looks from this point, because right now it's curved and around here it starts to be straight again, I'm applying the brakes, and it's just the top of the brakes and the downshift. You want to take a narrow line, you want to hit all the apexes, the both of them, because otherwise if you go just a bit more to the left, you will lose a lot of time. You will cover more distance than is necessary. So hitting this one, very important. Being back on throttle in the middle of the two apexes and then hitting the second one, equally important to have a good exit. Don't use this this curve right here. You see that I'm immediately turning right when I'm getting close to it, because the car will slightly bottom out and you will lose time. If you're gonna go on this curve and you will use it, instead of carrying more speed, the car will just lose speed as a result. And now for the final corner, I'm braking in the middle of this white sign and this 22 box. However, it was a late braking point. I should have braked just a few meters before, because right now I'm not able to control the car into the corner and I have to wait to apply the throttle. And you see on the delta, I lost here compared with my previous best, I lost more than 1/10. So I could have gained even 1/10 to the what I had with a proper approach, which is braking just a bit earlier and trying to apex late here. See this exit road on the right side? You should apex around here as late as you can and then put the power down earlier. It's one of those corners in which you want to have the power earlier, but you will have to do a slight correction since you're climbing a crest right now and the grip is not too much around here. So it's better to be earlier on throttle and then control it a bit, the oversteer, than delaying your throttle just so that you will climb the crest more safely. But if you will brake way too late, you won't be able to handle the oversteer. So it's quite important at this point that the car will be more stable while it's in this compression, because once it gets out of it, it will be too unstable to control if previously it was already unstable. So that's the main thing about this corner. You should prioritize the exit. However, you can lose a lot of time if you brake way too early. So the answer is in between this white sign and few meters. So you just have to brake. I think at this point this would be a perfect braking point, or you can brake a bit harder than what I did and it can work. However, this was my lap, not a perfect one. So thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you next week with an extra guide. Bye bye.